All right, everybody that's in attendance, we are now live on YouTube.
Come snuggle over here. I tried to sit there and they wouldn't let me.
With nothing but
Check.
Hey, Drew, your mic is live.
It says I'm muted on this end. Now it says I'm unmuted. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, it says live up in the corner in your picture, so I don't know. We got somebody that's live.
We can hear you now, yep.
Bacon, I'm getting both of them on YouTube. You ain't in. But when it says live, it means you guys are up on YouTube for streaming.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
It refers to the whole.
The whole thing's live. So you still hearing somebody?
Hmm?
Are you still hearing somebody?
I'm hearing you right now.
Good morning, Commissioner Lane.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Commissioner Lane, yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good morning,
See you now,
Commissioner
Madam
Tabor.
Chair. Can you hear us?
Morning.
Madam Chair, can you hear us? She's not hearing us.
I'm hearing this thing.
No. Vice Chair Tabor, can you hear us?
I think he's frozen.
She is frozen.
The bottom three all are.
Good morning, Chair Robinson.
Nose moving. Shut the regions off and don't need them. It's taking up.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, can you hear us? Commissioner Waller, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you great.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Commissioner Lane, can you hear us? No.
Loud and clear.
Thank you. I think we're gonna have to adjust the regions and shut them down to get the bandwidth back up or something.
Chair is rejoining.
Mike, are you coming in loud and clear? Ruggles. Okay,
Yep, I can hear you really well, Director.
good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me this time? Okay. All right, we'll get started in a couple minutes. I gotta get my video on.
Madam Chair, can you hear us? We don't need that.
Old fashioned way and have her on the phone. It's like the phone next to the speaker.
Or see if she can use her phone. Maybe her phone is better than.
Yes, I can hear you fine. Yes.
Oh,
Oh, you can
good.
hear us now?
There
Okay,
we
good.
go. We can hear you.
So who else do we have as far as commissioner? I see Commissioner Walter's on. I see Commissioner Lane is on. We've got you vice or chair. What about the vice chair? Can you, hear us? Are you on? Vice Chair Tabor.
I can see him.
He's logging in again. Okay.
So Commissioner Siebel will not be on today.
So we see your picture now, ma'am. You're on there.
You guys need to turn your.
Can I leave and come back in? It's you. This is. You need to mute. Just click it.
Must have a phone on.
Yeah, we do. Mackenzie had hers on.
Yeah, that's better. That was bad for a bit there.
Yeah.
Commissioner Tabor, you have video?
I'm still working on it. I don't know what the issue is here.
Oh,
I can hear you guys. I just can't get this thing to work. I'm using the state computer and I don't know what's going on here.
Okay,
okay.
well, we can still
Commissioner-
go forward.
Commissioner Byard is, can you hear us, Commissioner Byard?
Loud and clear, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Tabor, you okay with us going ahead and starting, or do you want to get that figured out?
No, you go right ahead. You might see me by the end of the meeting. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay,
Is Commissioner Walsh on?
and Commissioner Lane, we lost your video.
No, I've got him.
Oh, I don't.
Is
Okay,
Commissioner Walsh joining?
as far as I know, I haven't heard that he hasn't.
Okay.
If somebody could maybe give him a call.
Yes, yes, ma'am. We're doing that right now.
Okay. All right, so we will go ahead and get started. I guess I'm going to give it just a couple minutes just to make sure.
This meeting is being recorded. The recording has stopped.
Okay, so we only have 5, 2, 3,
Oh, we need-
6 of us. Okay, so that's no 5 of us. All right, so anyway, let's go ahead and get started.
This meeting is being recorded.
Let's start. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Quentin has asked us to change it to, actually, you want to explain what you want us to do there, Quentin?
Where'd Quentin go?
Just making a call.
He's
He just-
getting
Are you
the other commissioner online.
Or did he go?
He just stepped
That's
out.
all right. Let's just go ahead with the Pledge of Allegiance.
You got the flag up there?
Okay, no big deal. We'll pull up the flag. Okay. Does
Ready?
anybody else see the flag?
We do here.
Yes, I don't have a flag, but that's fine.
I see
I pledge allegiance, there we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
flag
the
Flag
United
of
States
the
of
United States
America
of
America.
America.
and to the
and to the
republic
for which it stands, one nation,
Nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
for liberty,
liberty,
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
nation All right, thank you, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay still?
You're coming in loud and clear, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Would somebody like to, the minutes from the July 14th meeting and the minutes from the August 25th meeting, I'll take those separately. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 14th meeting?
Madam Chair, I would so move.
I'd second.
Okay, Commissioner Lane. Okay, Commissioner Byerth. Okay, is there any corrections or additions? All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, how about the August 25th minutes?
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the
Would
August
someone like to
25th.
make a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Commissioner Waller, great, thank you. Any corrections or additions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, we'll start out with the commissioner reports. Commissioner Tabor, would you like to start? Okay. How about Commissioner Walsh? Do you want to go ahead? I meant Commissioner Waller. Sorry. We'll get this going.
That's okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a nice conversation with Randy from Region 2 yesterday, and it's funny, in the last couple of meetings, I've had a lot of staff updates, but there are no staff updates as of right now. All roles have been filled in Region 2. They just completed the elk scoping meetings, and they were very well attended for the most part. Very, very helpful conversations. And the feedback from the region was that those meetings were really well attended by hunters and landowners, and very good conversations, and everyone was very engaged. Last meeting, this is really interesting. Last meeting, I mentioned in my update about 2 grizzlies that were seen in the Bitterroot. They thought they were younger siblings, kept a good eye on him. Since then, they have been trapped and relocated on the edge of the Welcome Creek Wilderness. They were released on separate days, and they went separate ways. They have collars, so they're able to track all this. They were apart for weeks, and now they have worked back together. And now they're in the Scapegoat Wilderness together again. So that's kind of interesting. They are also able to get future DNA analysis on those bears, as well as some more collar data, so for years to come. So I found that really interesting. There have been an exceptionally high number of bear conflicts all summer long here in the Missoula area, as well as high spring harvest numbers for bears. They anticipate having a lot more conflicts as well. And obviously this side of the state, and the western side, communities are experiencing definitely more numbers of conflicts than ever before, which takes a lot out of the staff, hundreds of staff hours, wardens, biologists, staffs at the office taking phone calls, but not sure, if this is a trend versus sort of an anomaly, but definitely high bear conflicts around the region. And that's all I've got.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Tabor is still having issues. If someone could maybe give him a call to see if we can help him out. Thank you. Commissioner Lane, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. we've had some pretty interesting things happen in the fisheries department here in Region 7. And instead of trying to paraphrase this, I'd just like to read this report for you. 20 of 25 telemetered pallid sturgeon that reached intake dam in 2022 passed through the bypass channel and continued migrations upstream. Apex migrations for these fish included a wild male to river mile 57 of the Powder River. This is the first pallid sturgeon documented reaching TNY Dam on the Tongue River, which I think is very notable. Another kind of interesting thing as a result of the new bypass is there's been additional observations of increased fish passage at intake. It's a white bass that was caught by an angler at Miles City, which is the first documented occurrence upstream of intake. So there's some pretty neat things going on there. Makoshika State Park in the Parks and Outdoor Recreation recently received a grant for significant improvements to their archery range. So they're in the planning process right now working on that. Maintenance wise, Region 7 Maintenance Supervisor Miles Mouche has been working with Wildlife Divisions preparing the Isaac Homestead WMA for pheasant releases. That will be ongoing. Also working on renewing the noxious weed management contracts with Treasure, Rosebud, Custer, Fallon, Prairie, Dawson, Richland, and Powder River counties. I will move on here into the wildlife. The upland game bird season has been in full swing. Habitat conditions are much better than the previous 2 years, and better cover in the landscape meant for good nesting. They've had decent success, even though they do say that the bird numbers appear to be down. Antelope season opener was busy in response to an increase in observed numbers. There has been a fairly good success. On another note, there have been some small scale reports of EHD. A few samples were sent in for confirmation, but they're hopeful that after these cold mornings that hopefully those midges will die back and it will no longer present a problem. Going into ComEd, there was a successful youth pheasant hunt at the Isaac Homestead Wildlife Management Area. 300 pheasants were released, 9 youths ranging from 10 to 14 came out and hunted. Most of the youths received or harvested their limit of 3 or at least more than 1 bird. And overall, it seemed like it was a great success. Just looking at enforcement, archery season went well. They do have a couple of large cases involving elk killed with rifles during the archery season. These cases are being investigated with charges soon to come. Other than that, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Byerth, would you like to give your report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With fall hunting season underway, things have been fairly quiet. The fisheries crews are wrapping up their field work, and with the mild weather here, they've extended that field season, are going as far as this weekend, as from what I hear. As Commissioner Waller said, lots of bears in town, bears conflicts. I guess as to be expected with a late spring with chokecherry crops spotty. I guess that's the size of it for now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Walsh.
Yeah, good morning. Sorry, I had a little trouble getting on this morning. Region 4 had a busy fall. And just a cautionary note, hunters of all types, the grizzly bears are present in Region 4 and looking for food prior to hibernation. A bird hunter was recently injured by a grizzly bear while hunting with his wife and bird dogs northeast of Great Falls. And that bear has since been moved by the FWP staff. Wildlife has hired a new habitat biologist who will be officed in the Lewistown office. This will be a great addition for our region, and this person will be working with the other biologists across the region on multiple projects. Our wildlife biologists are done now with their backcountry and wilderness sheep and goat surveys, and the results are being tabulated. The black bear harvest, for similar reasons as the grizzly bears, are out, and the fall hunt was up with many bears checked at the Great Falls office. Primarily, the numbers were up due to visible food sources and dry conditions. The pheasant releases were in Region 4 were the freeze out WMA, and they were successful. And while participation was modest, we had many happy kids and adults. The Lewistown Administrative Office has made its move from the field station to the airport terminal this week. So all license sales, block management maps, and other public needs will need to be at the airport terminal in Lewistown moving forward. The fisheries group is finishing up their fall surveys and working on reports. Notable issue is also very low in both streams and reservoirs. Just a quick note on the Madison River Work Group. We have not met this fall. We're kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for some direction from the headquarters office. And I plan to follow up with both Director Warsack and Dustin Temple this week to see how we can keep this moving forward. And I just say the problem of overuse of our major streams is not going away with the population growth in the state of Montana and lots of participation from out-of-state users. So it'd be a real shame to see us keep kicking this one down the road. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Vice Chair Tabor, how are you on now?
I am
All
on. I am on.
Okay.
I cannot seem to get this thing to work. It's really odd, but you don't mind that I'm not on video, which I think will improve the overall meeting quality. I will just give you a quick update on Region 1. I think similar to the others, a little bit on the quiet side. They've rolled out the Cwd testing and have done quite a bit of training on it, quite successful training. They've also wrapped up most of their trapping training, including a fairly significant wolf trapping training that drew out quite a few people for some field training. One thing they ran into in Region 1, and I'm curious if this happened elsewhere, is they actually ran out of volunteer instructors. So quite a bit of staff had to step in and help out with the hunter education. Probably one of the most disconcerting things going on right now is there's 5 openings right now for wardens. So, our warden staff is substantively down in the region. We had one fine fellow that's gone off to serve in the National Guard. So he's going to be out for, I think it's 8 or 9 months. So that creates that much more of an opening than what was already there. And then fisheries had a very successful red count for the bull trout. And they've been doing this now successfully for multiple years in a row. It's one of the more important fishery, censuses that's done around. And that's pretty much it. Good. Had some fun with the pheasants as well. Don't really ever think Region 1 is the place to take kids pheasant hunting, but they released in 2 different areas and had a great showing and some super feedback from the folks that participated in that, especially the youth. So considered a pretty solid success. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I think we can make it work without the video. Just make sure you raise your hand and then I'll look for that or just speak up. So we'll be fine and hope maybe it will start working. So for Region 6, just got a quick update here. Progress is being made on the new fishing access site, is known as the Redwater Fishing Access Site. The consultant company is starting the design and cost estimates now. The youth pheasant and waterfowl kickoff event was successful with 30 youth ages 10 to 17 that were registered. A lot of parents and younger siblings attended as well. The youth shot trap and heard a variety of topics, including block management and other access program rules, regs, and how to get permission to hunt waterfowl and up on game ID, and using waterfowl decoys and blinds, bear awareness, how to use and read maps, map apps. And that's a lot of information for them to learn. So that's pretty neat. The CAC met in Culbertson, and we do in Region 6 have 2 vacant CAC positions. So application information can be found online. So if anybody's listening and is interested in a CAC position for Region 6, I would encourage you to apply. The Havre Area Resource Office has extended its hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. until November 25th. A new habitat specialist is in Malta, and 7 seasonal wildlife staff have started in the region to do CWD and other disease sampling and carry out swift fox population surveys. Regional staff has been involved in hunter recruitment, oriented pheasant release totaling 1,171 prison-raised pheasants on Region 6 wildlife management areas. 471 ahead of the youth pheasant weekend were released, and another 700 this week. So regional fisheries staff, water conservation staff, and DNRC staff and representatives from Rocky Boy Reservation met regarding the implementation of flow monitoring associated with the East Fork Dam on Beaver Creek in regards to the Beaver Creek Water Compact. Havre area fish biologist Cwd Nagel completed fish sampling at Nelson and Fresno. Nelson, good walleye numbers, but yellow perch remains low. In Fresno, walleye relative abundance decreased and fish condition was low. The effects of consecutive reservoir drawdowns are having an impact on that. Fort Peck Fisheries and hatchery staff are collecting good numbers of Chinook salmon as a part of the annual spawning operation. And to date, 300,000 eggs have been collected. So that wraps up my Region 6 update. And Director, if you would like to give us a report, that would be great.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I appreciate, first of all, once again, the commissioners reaching out to the regions and getting the information. Makes my job a lot easier. One of the things I was going to talk about was the bear issue that is increasing this year. And as the commissioners indicated, staff is busy working with more bear conflicts and more bears coming into the towns. Also on the roosters for recruitment, that program is in full swing, and all the things we're hearing about are the same. We're hearing really good reports about it. The birds are apparently really wild. We've had some people call the prison and said, what are you doing to them to make them so wild? So that's a good thing that the birds are out there getting that done. The other thing is we did travel around the state this year, director and deputy director. We went and saw the regions and the public at night, and then the regions the next day. And that once again gained a lot of information from that, which was really good. Had a great meeting in Great Falls with the Parks and Outdoor Recreation, brought the staff together. And that was a really good meeting to bring people together and talk about that. And then yesterday we launched a marketing campaign focused on hunter ethics. The campaign is a partnership with several groups, including the Montana Stock Growers, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, Montana Wildlife Federation, Pheasants Forever. And the slogan is, it's up to us to respect access and protect the hunt. And I really appreciate everybody coming together to work on that. It's the whole message is to promote and draw attention to an importance of hunter ethics and respecting private land and access. And then the mobile app is out there in force this year. Let me look here. We had more than 23 people sign up for nearly 70,000 e-tags this year. And what we're hearing is it's working really well for them, and they do enjoy that. Let's see what else. And as far as the youth hunt, it's kind of been fun the last couple of days to be out in the front and talking to parents and kids as they come in, and the excitement about being able to go out and hunt with that youth hunt. And I did talk to a gentleman yesterday that came in from Washington, and he has a big game or a deer combination license. And I said, well, it's kind of expensive to bring your kid here. And he said, well, $325 isn't bad. And he said, I'd enjoy bringing my kids here to have a quality hunt. So he had a 10 or 11-year-old little boy that was going to come here and hunt with him. So he was all excited about coming to Montana deer hunting. So that's about all I have. So thank you.
Okay, did you want to cover the break that we're gonna have to take?
Yeah, thank
Or do
you,
you
Madam
want-
Chair.
Okay.
So we do have a earthquake drill at 10:20 today. So we're gonna shut down at 10:15. We're supposed to dive under the desk and do all the stuff at 10:20, and then we'll be back at 10:30. So we'll probably shut the cameras down so you don't see our butts underneath the desks.
So we'll, I did set my alarm on my phone, so I'll remember that, and then we'll work the agenda around that. Okay. All right, so I think we are ready to dive in. If we want to start out with the land and water with the Danford Pond viewing area.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the commission. My name is Bill Shank. I'm the manager of the Land and Water Program. The first action item, for your consideration is the Danford Pond Wildlife Viewing Area easement acquisition and construction. The department proposes to acquire an easement for public viewing access and build a bird viewing area on that easement. The easement we would acquire lies within a 34-acre existing conservation easement held by the Flathead Land Trust. The viewing easement would be donated to FWP by the Danford Living Trust. The viewing access easement will be less than 1 acre. FWP will construct a parking area and trail that leads to a platform, an informational kiosk, signage, and public use binoculars. It will allow public use by school groups for education and just general enjoyment of that resource. It is located about 3 miles north of the north end of Flathead Lake. Again, the easement itself would be donated, no cost there, but the development is estimated approximately $25,000 and would be borne by the non-game tax checkoff account. An EA was published on June 10th and public comment was taken. There were 9 public comments, 7 were in favor. 2 were opposed and expressed concerns over, actually 1 was impacts to wildlife, which the department concluded would be mitigated or not significant. And 1 was to potentially, illegal activity in the parking area. And that was addressed in the decision notice as well. The area would be closed during the winter. With that, I just simply note that on the agency recommendation on the cover sheet, it does say the department recommends the commission endorse the proposed action. This is in fact a final approval for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question.
Okay, Commissioner Byers.
Just for clarity's sake, the proposed motion is to support alternative A. Alternative A in the EA is no action. Alternative A in the decision notice is to move forward. I just wanted to make sure we clarified that prior to making a motion, that alternative A in the decision notice is to move forward. So if you'd entertain the motion, I would go ahead.
Okay, do we want some clarification on that before we get the motion, please?
Sure.
Just to make sure we have our motion correct. I think if we just took out that alternative A, I'm thinking that the rest of it would be fine, but.
I would agree, Madam Chair.
Good catch.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Commissioner Byers.
Madam Chair, I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission approve the acquisition of an easement for public viewing at the Danford Pond Conservation Easement and construct a parking area and associated bird viewing area as presented by the department.
I would
Second.
second that.
Okay, I need to be clear on the second. So which one, which one of you would like to second it? Commissioner Walsh?
Yeah,
Was that-
thank you.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other discussion or questions before I go out to public comment? Okay. All right, do we have any, I'm going to start out with the regions. Do any of the regions have anyone present who would like to publicly comment on this? Okay. Do we have any callers?
Madam Chair, yes, we do. We have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the commission. My name is Marcus Strange, spelled Marcus Strange for the record. I am here today representing the Montana Wildlife Federation. We are enthusiastically in support of this easement. It's amazing that we get a donation like this to allow the public to be able to view wildlife, and this will provide many opportunities, as was highlighted, for the public to enjoy Danford Pond. So we would ask for your support on this, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any, I just want to remind everybody too, I forgot to tell the public too that 2 minute is the time limit for comments, and we are timing that. So we will let you know if you go over the 2 minutes. Are there any other callers?
Madam Chair, there are not.
All right. I'll go back to the commission. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions before I go for a vote? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to the next.
Excuse me, Madam
The
Chair.
2023
Sorry, this is Sarah.
annual work plan for elk management. Oh,
Chair.
yes.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
this is Sarah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Madam
Go
Chair.
ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to, we only have the 5 commissioners
Yes.
on, so to have a quorum, we need to make sure that we register your vote as well. So I just wanted to make sure that was in the record.
Okay, we have 6. We should have 6 because Commissioner Tabor is
I'm
on
sorry,
also.
because Tabor's there and I can't see him. That's why, my fault. I apologize.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Wakeling, would you want to go ahead with the annual work plan, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Brian Wakeling. I'm the Game Management Bureau Chief. I'll be presenting the 3 items that the Wildlife Division has this morning. The first one is the 2023 annual work plan for elk management in areas with brucellosis. The brucellosis working group did meet this past summer. This is the first time in 3 years due to the pandemic issues. They were not able to meet in 2021 or 2020, so this was the first opportunity they got together and were able to address the plan and kind of look at it. Overall, felt like things were going largely well and were being rather effective at being able to address things. However, they did have essentially 5 recommended changes that they wanted to see to the elk management plan, along with some additional just kind of editorial things. The substantive ones were to allow, historically it has been only within the DSA where where some of the actions were being able to be employed, and what they wanted to do was actually use it in any place where it was detected. So it was not just within the DSA to expand that. Wanted to look at some new hazing techniques, and it could be a pretty broad, but there's a number of ideas that the department's looking at. Expanding opportunity to use fencing that reduces the ability of elk to cross into the high use areas and high risk areas, adding a target of implementing some habitat manipulation, at least one manipulation project, and also removing the annual cap for the landowner for fencing material. All of this is subject to the department's capabilities and evaluations that can go forward, but the department recommends that we go ahead and move forward and is asking the commission today to approve the annual work plan for elk management in areas with brucellosis.
Okay, are there any questions from the commission?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Byerth?
Mr. Wakeling, would you kind of quickly summarize the extent of the activity that was necessary within the DSA over the last year or so?
Some of the actions that have largely been fairly consistent with what we've been seeing in previous years. There have been a few permits that have been issued for removal, less than 5, and I'm going from memory here, so I'm not going to be precise on that. But so there has been some efforts. There's been hazing that's been going on, where the department's been continuing to pay for that, and to the tune of right around $20,000 is my understanding of that. And overall, just continuing to work with the working group and trying to mitigate. There were not an awful lot of fencing work that was undertaken over the course of the past year. There was a little bit, but again, overall, relatively small expenditures.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Walsh?
Yep, I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission approve the 2023 annual work plan for elk management in areas with brucellosis as presented by the department.
Okay.
I will second that.
Okay, Commissioner Lane seconded. Okay. Before I go out to public comment, any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to speak to this motion? Okay. All right. It looks like we have one attendee who would like to speak.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Strange.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the commission. Again, for the record, Marcus Strange representing the Montana Wildlife Federation. We just wanted to thank the department for their extensive work on this. They always do such great work with these brucellosis plans, and just give our support for that work. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, there seems to be nobody else in the public. Is there any other questions before I call for a vote? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Wakeling, if you want to move on to the City of Havre.
Certainly, Madam Chair, members of the commission. The second item the Wildlife Division has today is the City of Havre Urban Deer Management Action Plan. This is a plan, the commission has seen a number of these recently come before the commission for consideration. Essentially, what occurs is a municipality has some challenges with a urban deer situation. Usually they've employed a number of exercises already that include some of the determined efforts, trying to limit the number of animals that come into an area. Ultimately, because of some of the challenges they continue to have, they work with department staff to develop a plan. That plan is then subsequently taken to the municipalities, their council, look for a public input process there, whereby they also approve it by the council. And the statute that authorizes this requires the commission's approval. And so at this point, the city of Havre has approved this plan. They have brought this forward. Part of the consideration that they've discussed in this is issues with chronic wasting disease and some opportunities for testing. Despite the fact that there's a lot of interest from a number of areas, certainly with food banks that receive that, to have testing done. There is no statutory requirement at this point in time that it requires that they be tested. And so within this plan, it is addressed. They do have an approach to using it, but it isn't mandatory, but they do look for hunter donations that go to the food bank, being something that they would encourage testing strongly. Two different approaches, primarily either doing a direct removal in situations where public safety is a concern, or hunting is not a primary tool, and also looking for public hunting where possible. At any rate, the department does recommend that the commission approve this, and certainly be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission? Okay. All right. I'll go out to public comment. Is there anyone in the regions who would like to speak to this motion?
Would you like to get the motion first?
Okay. Do we? Oh, gosh. Yes, that would be super great. Thank you. Yes. Go ahead. Would somebody like to make the motion?
I'm happy to move it. I move that the Fish and Wildlife Commission approve the City of Havre Urban Deer Management Action Plan.
I'll second that. Go ahead, Jana.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Waller. Okay, thank you. All right, so let me go in the right process here. Is there any public comment in the regional offices on the motion of the approval of the Havre Urban Deer Management Action Plan? All right, do we have any public commenters?
Madam Chair, I'm not seeing any.
Doesn't look like it. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, so any other comments or questions before I go to a vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Mr. Wakeland, if you want to move on to the Bad Rock Canyon Wildlife Management Area hunting regulations, please.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the commission. The final item the Wildlife Division has is proposed regulations for the Bad Rock Canyon Wildlife Management Area. The Bad Rock Canyon Wildlife Management Area was a recent acquisition because it had previously been managed under a cooperative agreement amongst some of the landowners that provided some restrictions on this area that has been largely favored. This acquisition and some of the work with it also went through through the EA process. There was still real strong support for trying to provide primarily opportunities for youth where appropriate. And so the recommendation that the department formulated honored that to a large part. However, it did also try to expand that opportunity for some specific hunting opportunities. The specific language that is proposed is presented there as one of the supplemental materials to the commission and for the public's review. This is primarily trying to limit. It's a public area, it's a wildlife management area, but it's just over 1 square mile. And so trying to recognize the opportunities and often a lot of demand within for opportunities in this kind of a situation. Without the approval of these rules, it will default to the standard season regulations that the commission adopted in February last year for all of the areas. So the department is recommending that the Wildlife Commission approve the Bad Rock Canyon hunting regulations that we have presented here. One point of clarification that the language that you have before you specifically states that it references to what's printed in the deer, elk, antelope regulations. That would be in all of our regulations that would be occur. So it wouldn't. Obviously, the wording in there talks about turkey hunting and bear hunting. So obviously more broad than that, but that is the same language that would appear in each of those regulations.
Okay, Commissioner Tabor, you have a question?
Madam Chair, I move that the Fish and Wildlife Commission approve the Bad Rock Canyon WMA hunting regulations as presented by the department.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Lane seconds. All right, any questions or comments from any of the commissioners? Okay. All right, so is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to comment on the motion? Okay. Doesn't look like any of the attendees would like to comment. Is that correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. So before we go to a vote, any other questions?
Just point of clarification, Madam Chair.
Sure. Go ahead.
So what we're voting on is to basically keep this as close as possible to how it was being managed under block management. Is that correct?
Mr. Wakeling, you want to clarify that?
I apologize, ma'am, Madam Chair. I did not hear the question.
Sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Walsh.
Yeah, I was just wanted to clarify that the goal of this is to manage this access as closely as possible to how it was being managed under block management previously.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner Wallace, yes, that was the intent of this. It's under block management, it emphasized the youth opportunity greater than it does now. But in fact, my understanding is it limited only to youth. There are some opportunities here that are a bit more broad than that. However, it honors the intent of that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Right.
All right. We'll move on to Dr. Rice, if you'd like to do extending the 2022 fishing regulations.
Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Fisheries has one quick item for you this morning to extend the 2022 fishing regulations to the 2023 fishing season. And then once the statewide management plan is in place, we'll come for a for a regulation proposal cycle for the 2024 fishing season. So right now, all we ask is that the 22 season be carried, the regulations be carried into the 23 season.
Okay. Any questions?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Walsh, go ahead.
Thank you. Dr. Rice,
Go ahead.
if you could just
Commissioner
explain the process for the statewide. Sure. I'll direct this to Dr. Rice. I'd appreciate it if you could explain both the process and deadline for the statewide fisheries management plan.
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Walsh, right now our schedule is to release the management plan for public comment in December. Along with that, we will release an EA to be compliant with MIPA. And then after we go through the public process, the management plan will be approved through a decision notice following the MIPA process.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Madam Chair.
Okay.
I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission adopt the currently.
I'm not sure who's talking.
Oh, Commissioner Lane.
Go ahead. Yes, Commissioner Lane, go ahead.
I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission adopt the currently operating 2022 fishing regulations for the 2023 season so that the 2022 fishing regulations become the 2023 fishing regulations.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Waller, second it. Okay, any further questions before I take comments?
Chair Robinson.
Go ahead.
This is Commissioner Walsh. I just have some feedback that I've received. I know we received a lot of public feedback on the Big Hole River, and I have heard concerns about the unintended consequences of the fall closure from Maiden Rock BLM to Browns Bridge, in that it put excessive pressure on the Browns Bridge to Notch Bottom section in October. And this is just to offer encouragement to the department to monitor more closely the brown trout spawn and the brown trout populations as we go forward, and make sure that the closure from Maiden Rock to Browns is having the intended effect of growing the fish population. Right now, as I understand it, the salmon fly to Browns Bridge gets shocked to count population numbers in the spring, but the section above that is closed from October to March and has no shocking survey history. And some concern was expressed to me by folks over in Melrose that it could be highly beneficial to have better monitoring data in place.
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Walsh, I'll be sure to pass that along to the local biologist and we'll look into that.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to speak to this motion? Okay. Mr. Elliott, I see you have your hand raised if you would like to go ahead and comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. For the record, Clayton Elliott, ELLIOTT, here today representing Montana Trout Unlimited. Appreciate the time. We'll be brief. I would just offer a caveat. to the work of the Fisheries Division and the public and myself, along with a number of stakeholders, going through the proposals on the fish regulations. I think we made a lot of good progress, and I hesitate to classify that work as a waste of time or anything like that. I think we made good progress on Commissioner Walsh's issue on the big hole that he brought up in terms of a lot of good stakeholder conversation. So when we do come back to the future fishing regs, I think there's a lot of good ground that has been plowed and worked to be able to come with a compromise. But I do support the decision to move forward with extending the 22 fishing regs to 2023. Commissioner Tabor and I had a great conversation about the value of doing so and going through the statewide fisheries management plan, getting that done. We'll be active participants, and I look forward to the continued conversations and really building on the trust and consensus that we've been working towards and building amongst the various stakeholder groups. So I appreciate the department, and I just wanted to note that all the comments that you've received on those fishing regs are not lost in space. That there was good work done, and that will build and continue. So thank you for that, and appreciate the decision to move forward and make sure that we have fishing regs in place for next year. This is the right move. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any further commenters. I just want to make sure that I'm correct on that. Okay. All right, we'll come back to the motion. Any final comments or questions before we go to a vote? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. All right, so I will turn it over to legal for the Half Moon Slough petition.
Thank you, Chair. This is Sarah Corgett. And the two pieces to this portion of the agenda. The first is the petition, which was submitted by Mr. Quigley, who I understand is on today. And this, because the petition is submitted to the commission, FWP doesn't really have a part in that. So the petition is coming from the petitioner to the commission. And so I would just introduce Mr. Quigley and allow him to speak to you directly, Madam Chair, if that's all right.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Quigley.
Madam Chairman, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Madam Chairman, members of the commission, I appreciate your time and effort to look into this particular matter. Hopefully, all of you have received the petition brought up by the other landowners that border this Half Moon Slough. Hopefully you've received that. And also I provided a map of the slough to show you the exact locations and concerns that we all have. Our goal as landowners are not to restrict fishermen for entering the stream. Legally, we can't do that anyway. We don't want to do that. We would like to be partners with fishermen in being able to help control the amount of erosion that has been happening over the last 25 to 30 years, and see if we could put up some buoys in order to be able to slow down or make it such that the wake zone does not continue to erode. If you have the map of Half Moon Slough in front of you, our biggest concern is right at the corner of Sibrud Lane and Egan. And the slough approaches the right-of-way to the county. And when erosion takes place, that ends up happening to cause the right of way to be a part of public access, then that's what our biggest concern is. Back in 1913, my wife's great-grandfather had deeded to the county for $1. My son-in-law sitting here beside me is a registered certified licensed surveyor for Robert Pescia and Associates out of Helena. Came up with this document, and it specifically says for the road donated to the county so that the lady widow of 6 children would have an easier access coming out of her home. And that road was specifically designed for roadway purposes. And our concern is that it could turn out to be close enough to the water there right away and then become public access. Anything I need to do here? No. So if you have any questions, I certainly will try to do my best to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, I think that I myself were a little confused over what our role is in this and what our responsibilities are as the FWP Commission for these petitions. If someone could just kind of clarify what our role is.
Absolutely, Madam Chair. And it becomes clear when we get to the policy piece, which we can do second, but there's a statute that lays out, it's 24315, that allows for the public to come directly to the commission and petition for rulemaking, separate from rulemaking that is proposed by the department. And so that's why in this instance, it comes directly from the public. And your options, once you get such a petition, are to initiate rulemaking based on the petition, in which case you can initiate it yourself, or you can ask the department to draft rules for you with some instruction, or you can ask the petitioner to draft a rule and bring it before you. If you choose not to proceed, you can deny the petition for rulemaking. Or the third option is that you can delay the rulemaking and ask the department for a position on the rulemaking. And then the department at your next meeting could present its position on the rulemaking. And you could combine that if you intend to do rulemaking without knowing the department's position. You could send it back to the department and say, draft rules and give us your position on those rules. Or as I said, you could separate it out and just ask first for a position, and then at the next meeting decide based on that position and further input from the petitioner whether or not you want to adopt the rules, or excuse me, whether you want to initiate the rulemaking, deny the petition. Does that clarify enough?
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Yes. Are there further questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Byarth?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having had to review, I think, at least a half dozen petitions over the years, I'm not sure that this petition as submitted by Mr. Quigley conforms with the requirements of the rule, which includes a specific drafting of language. I'm not commenting necessarily on the substance, but I'm not sure there's enough information presented for the commission to move forward.
Sarah, would you like to comment to that?
Yes, Chair, Commissioner, the option there would probably be in this instance, and my recommendation would be that if you decide that rulemaking is an option you want to consider at the next meeting, that you could request language specifically from the petitioner or combination of work from the petitioner and the department to present at the next meeting the language of the rule and then the department's position on such language. And if those are different, then Mr. Quigley can bring forward language on his own, more specific written out language of a rule itself.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Vice Chair Tabor, go ahead.
I don't know if Sergeant Gilbreth is here. Is this one of the groups where we had asked for like all the citizens to get together and perhaps the region to work through a program together, get the folks together? Or am I getting this one confused with one of the other ones we had up in Region 1?
Chair Robinson, Vice Chair Tabor, Sergeant Kilbreth with the Enforcement Division. There is a previous petition for Church Slough that the commission had asked the department to do a working group to formulate a recommendation. We have done that working group and we'll be bringing that back before the commission, I believe, in February. So this would be a different, to answer your question, this is a different petition.
So follow up, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
So one of the reasons why I did that for Church Slough, and I would assume and perhaps recommend it for this one, is that it involves all the different constituencies to come together and kind of work through it. It has a much higher level of acceptance and success. I've understand in talking to the Region 1 people that they've made very good progress and they have a great group of people together on that Church Slough work program, and something of that similar nature might be a good route to go for this slough. And that way we're listening to all parties and getting a recommendation that's already been worked out instead of developing a rule and then having people that either like it or don't like it.
Would you like to make a motion, Vice Chair Tabor?
I do. I'd like to perhaps get a recommendation from legal counsel or the department as to how to phrase it, because I can't remember how I phrased the Church Slough one, but I would move that we asked Region 1 to form a citizens group to get specific with this slough and identify the parties, and then facilitate a process where the group works out a recommendation for proposed language that would be considered by the commission at a future date.
Is that a motion, or would you like my opinion on that motion? Okay.
Well, it's an attempt at a motion. If I need to clean it up based on your opinion, let me know.
Madam Chair, my opinion is that is a fine motion. The only addendum I would have is that the statute requires that we either initiate, deny, or take another action within 60 days. We can take more than that as long as it is amenable to Mr. Quigley. If not, then we need to make a decision today. He's granted us leeway from the 60 days to consider it today. And so I just want to make sure that he is on the record agreeing with that, a timeline separate from that.
Didn't quite hear everything.
Yeah, you'd want to agree so that you can move forward with it.
Oh. So did you, Mr. Quigley, did you get that motion? Are you agreeable to that?
Yes, I am, Madam Chairman.
Okay. All right. Do I have a second to the motion then? Okay, Commissioner Walsh. Okay. Okay. I think I already got one from Commissioner Walsh. Thank you. Oh, go ahead. Sarah, was that you?
I was just clarifying whether it was Commissioner Walsh or Commissioner Lane.
Commissioner Walsh.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any further questions or comments? Okay, Commissioner Lane.
Yeah, I just have a question for Mr. Quigley. Has there been any bank stabilization done in anywhere in that area?
Over the years, just natural vegetation consisting of dogwood, chokecherry trees, hawthorns, We attempted to, years ago, put in some different types of bank stabilization of willows. And it's on the one corner right there at Cwd Lane and End Lane, right there on the corner. That's the worst part that gets hit with waves. And we have been unsuccessful in being able to stabilize that.
Okay, thank you.
But all the
Any further questions? Okay. All right. Is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to comment on the motion? Okay. Doesn't look like there's any attendees who would like to comment. Okay. Mr. Quigley or your son-in-law, would either one of you like to comment before we go to a vote on the motion?
I guess we're good.
Okay, thank you. All right, one last chance from the commissioners. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is the policy for submitting rulemaking petitions to the commission.
We're just done.
Commissioner, this is Chair, this is Sarah Clerget again. The policy is in your materials. I won't go through it in detail, but essentially the purpose of this is to provide the public with some clarity. Mr. Quigley's petition was the impetus for this, and then at the request of the chair, my office drafted this for you. It's something we could adopt as a policy and then post on the website so that it's very clear to the public what the process is, how they petition, and then what the action the commission will take and when. I'm happy to answer any specific questions on it, but it lays out in the policy the statutory authority and then a format.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, or would somebody like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, does this action require a motion, or is it just a statement of policy that I don't see any recommendation where we're actually asked to make a motion on this.
I guess I need clarification on that.
Madam Chair, yes, you do need to make a motion. There's no recommendation from the department because I'm wearing my commission attorney hat right now. And so this is business for the commission only. So it's for you guys to decide what you want to do.
Madam Chair, I'd move that the Fish and Wildlife Commission adopt the policy as drafted for rulemaking from the public.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Pat Tabor, I second.
Okay, thank you. And we don't go out to public comments. So are there any questions before we go to a vote on this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the only thing left we have on the agenda is public comment for items not on the agenda. So looks like we have an attendee. I just want to remind you that it's just items not on the agenda. And Mark, if you would like to comment.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Director Warshak, Mark Cook with Wolves of the Rockies. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Listen, I recently returned from Minneapolis where there was an International Wolf Symposium, and Ken Mills from Wyoming was there, Eric Odell from Colorado, Ken Loudon from California, the Yellowstone Wolf Project was there. The gist of what I'm trying to say is there was nobody there to represent Montana and their wolf program. If funding had been a problem, we would have gladly stepped up to the plate and provided funding to have a representative from Montana there. There were a lot of questions about the Montana plan, and I answered them to the best of my ability. But, you know, to be honest with you, there's a bias there, and the department needed to have somebody there. Secondly, I see Montana, we're coming up to the next legislative session, 2023. I see Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has two legislative concepts that concern me, 736 and 737. One is to remove the 24-hour wait requirement for wolf license, and the other has to do with hunting and aircraft. I would wonder if the department could share with us and others the intent of these new legislative concepts. Lastly, at the symposium, there is a huge concern over poaching, not only in Montana, but in the world. What is Montana doing to deal with poaching? And I would like to politely remind the commission and the department that preservation is no use and conservation is the wise use. And to be honest with you, Montana isn't conserving the wolves of Yellowstone or the wolves that call Montana their home. And this needs to change. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and have a good day.
Thank you. I think, am I correct, Quentin or Director, that our next meeting, we're going to have a pre-commission meeting to talk about legislative topics? Am I correct on
Madam
that?
Chair, that is correct. The bills are basically, we don't have a sponsor. They're just in a, not even in a full draft form yet. So
Okay.
we will have that at the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Doesn't look like there's anyone else who would like to speak. And we had a few hiccups, but we got through this, and I'm just glad that we were able to do it via Zoom, considering that it didn't take very long to get through this agenda. Is there any other business that anyone who would like to speak about?
I see that we just got Commissioner Vice Chair Tabor finally showed up on our screen.
Better
So
late than never.
Yeah, I apologize for the hiccups, but thank you, Madam Chair. I thought it was a good meeting.
Oh, it went fine. I mean, there's always, it just happens. So thank you, everyone, and look forward to seeing you in December. Meeting
you all.
adjourned.
Bye-bye.